Hi, Beth and Andy. I'm going to try to keep this short, but I wanted to send a video to you guys or a recording or whatever it might be so that one, I can show you just the components of the skills Lily needs in order to master reading. But then also, I figured it might be easier than reading a bunch of emails. So I'm going to kind of explain to you kind of what I think might be going on, where Lily might have issues, and share a basic plan for getting us started with that support at home. And we're just going to try some things out because, you know, we can have the best of intentions or thoughts about being able to have a certain dedicated time, or you know, I could have a great idea for something for you guys to try, and then it just, you know, it not be a good idea on my end or be realistic on your end. So let's just try with this basic plan and touch base next week, I'm thinking. So I'll explain to you where I found some pockets too. Let's start with this basic plan, see if it'll work for y'all moving forward, and then touch base on Tuesday if you can. If you can do Tuesday, next Tuesday, and I'll put this date in the email. We could meet, I'm thinking Tuesday, June 28th at 4:30. That would be awesome. Which, thank you again for being flexible on Monday. I totally forgot I had the day off. Anyways, okay, so what do I think might be missing with Lily's reading? First of all, good news. I don't think it's because she's lacking a certain skill or is slow in a certain area because of like a processing issue or something. I think where her issue is that she just has not gotten explicit sequential instruction for some of the foundational reading skills that we all need in order to become fluent readers. Some kids pick up these skills quickly, and they build, you know, the automaticity and fluency that you need in order to like read something, but a lot of us don't. So I think that after looking at some of the curriculum tools that I see at St. Joan of Arc, and no school has a perfect curriculum. So everything I say, it's in no way against any, you know, any component of her schooling. However, after talking to her and looking at the curriculum on their website, it looks like a lot of her reading instruction has just been like reading passages, answering questions, and not specific instruction for some of the foundational reading skills that we need. And like I said, she just needs to learn, you know, these rules. I was going to show you guys kind of what are the skills that make up a reader, and then let me just share screen real quick. I just want to walk you through this visual because I think it's a good way of explaining what we kind of are seeing in Lily's reading. So we have many strands that are woven into skilled reading, right? And we all learn to read the exact same way. Okay, so think of, we have two ropes. We have a language comprehension rope, right? And as we know, ropes, like, you know, they twine together. It's not just a piece of rope. So in language comprehension, we have our background knowledge, our vocabulary, language structures, like how we talk in different spaces, verbal reasoning, understanding inferences, and, you know, components of poetry and drama and different tones. And then we have basic, you know, understanding print concepts and understanding, you know, differences between different books and why we use different books for different things. All of this is like language comprehension skills. We need all of these skills. We also have this other component, another rope of reading, that's word recognition, okay? And that is comprised of phonological awareness, which is understanding the sounds in our language. That's the very first skill we need to have in order to take in a new word. You would think it's via sight, but the reality is it's all auditory first, okay? Because our language a lot of our languages, you know, spoken language, there's even some languages that don't even have a written component, okay? So she needs to understand the sounds first, and then we can correlate them to our alphabetic principles and understand how different letters combine to make different sounds, et cetera, et cetera. And once we bring in that print, that's when we need those decoding skills. And we need to understand the relationship between sounds and print. And then we also have sight recognition. We have to have we have series of words in the English language that are frequently used that we just kind of have to have in our banks, right? Because all three of these things together allow us to actually decode what we're reading. And there's specific rules here. And these are the things that Lily is missing. I think she's compensated along the way. She's smart. It's clear that she's picked up on some rules. It's clear that her teachers maybe have told her some rules about, like, for example, the silent E, but she has not followed a process, I don't believe, to learn these things. Like, for example, when I asked her what are her short vowel sounds and her long vowel sounds, she struggled to know what I was talking about. She could name the letters of that, are typically vowels, right? And not typically are vowels in our alphabet. She could, the sound part really threw her. You have to understand those, especially once you start getting into bigger words that have multiple parts to them, like multisyllabic words or different root words or prefixes or suffixes from other languages. We have to have all of the sounds that we know, one, that letters can make, but two, how to be able to know where to make and break words apart when we're trying to decode them, like figure out what they're saying. And she's lacking in those skills, and it's just going to become more difficult because from preschool through third grade, we're really working on building our understanding of how to read, like actually learning to read. Fourth grade on, she's going to be focused on using reading to learn. So we got to get in there. We got to close this now. So she's missing these components. She's kind of strong in these, but these two ropes have to meet, right, in order for us to be able to comprehend what we're reading. And we have to be able to entwine these skills together, and it requires practice and fluency and quickness. And as we become more automatic in that, we're more capable of reaching reading comprehension. You can't have language comprehension and comprehend text by reading it. You can't. You have to have word decoding too. You can't have word decoding alone without being able to associate context and meaning and structures to it. You can't have one without the other, right? You have to have both sets of skills in order to be able to comprehend. So, plan for Lily. I'm thinking let's start small. I did some assessing, and we're going to start with this phonics to reading book. These have a teacher guide and a student guide. There is a series of lessons that follow a scope and sequence so that she starts to acquire all of those phonics skills that she's, I think, never been instructed on. But we're going to just start with the first two lessons because you're going to have to get familiar with them and she's going to have to get familiar with them. So the first lesson in this series is specific to the oo sound. And so I know that she's comfortable with that, understanding that, the oo, but she also doesn't have the automaticity in it. So it's not going to be in vain, but that first lesson will give you an idea of, how realistic is it that you guys are going to be able to maintain completing these lessons. While you get comfortable with them, it's probably going to take longer than an hour. So you might have to do it in 2 sections. I wouldn't stop in the middle of a passage. If you need a break, I would, do the first couple sections and then take a break before you get to the reading passage. This will make sense in a second. But it will tell you step by step what you need to do. Just follow those directions exactly. Write down anything that you notice, maybe that she's struggling with. We're probably gonna have to go back and fill bigger gaps, but we did, when I met with her, the library was closed, so we had to meet outside. And we were on her playground, sitting literally up on a slide. So I didn't get to do all the things that I intended to, but like after we do this, and then her and I, maybe we'll get back together and we'll kind of just see how it went. We'll get your feedback. And if it's working, I'll do a little bit more progress monitoring at a time. And then if that's working and you feel comfortable with picking that up, then I'm going to give you some other things, just kind of sprinkle in. That will be a lot quicker and honestly more fun. But this is, you know, the bigger component. This is the time that we are thinking that we might have to play with each day. So let's just start to see if this is obtainable, and then we'll go from there. So I will send you a date and time that I think, or that I'll be available next week. And in the interim, just print off lessons 1 and lesson 2. The teacher guide and student guide are there. And let's just see how it works. We'll go from there. All right. Love you.